All right, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh. I am the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect Global. I'm helping to support all of the chapters and regions and members worldwide in this wonderful BNI Connect system. And today's webinar is going to be talking about some of the changes that are coming in BNI Connect. So on October 29th, we are going to be releasing some major updates to BNI Connect that I think that you guys are all going to be ridiculously excited about. At least I know I am. I have been a member in BNI for coming up on 11 years now. I've also been a director for about 8 of those years, and I am very excited about these changes that are coming. Most notably, they are a refreshed look at the landing page. So this home screen that you're looking at right now in BNI Connect, that is completely redone and much more optimized, as well as a module that allows us to enter the slips that we traditionally wait until the meeting to fill out. We can fill those out online, get credit for them in the POMS report, still talk about them at the meeting, but be able to track them going forward. So we're going to show you some of those things now. You won't be able to use them until October 29th, but we wanted to make sure that everybody saw them, knew how to use them, and I will answer any questions that you have about this functionality, or if we have time towards the end of the webinar, if there's any questions that you want to ask about BNI Connect, feel free to ask them, and we'll try to answer them with as much time as we have. So let's get started, shall we? When you log into BNI Connect for the very first time after October 29th, or on October 29th, which is a Monday, what you will see is this. So again, this is what you would see now, and what you will see is this the first time that you log in. And what this is the refresh landing page. And you'll notice a couple of things right away on this landing page, and the first of which is pretty obvious, is this yellow bar in this top section here. And what that is for all members, you will see your activity report. And this is an activity report that will show you everything that has been recorded to the POMS reports for the last 12 months of your membership, as well as your lifetime in BNI. So if you've been a member for 2 years, for 5 years, for 10 years, everything that's ever been entered into a POMS report for you will show up here. And that includes the thank you for closed business received, referrals received, thank you for closed business given, referrals given, visitors, one-to-ones, and CEUs. I do have a comment right now from Ray. I can't hear anything from music. I do think that it might be a localized problem. Everybody else can hear me okay so far? So my guess is I'm getting a whole bunch of yeses. Thank you. Ray, you may be, if you're dialed in on the phone, you may be dialed into the wrong number, or you may have the wrong code. So we can grab the recording later, or please sign up for one of the future sessions. But all right, so going back, so you'll see your thank you for closed business, your referrals, all of those stats from your POMS report right at your fingertips. And Mark brings up a good point. He says, thank you for closed business given, not received. And here's one of the new exciting changes in this right away, is that when you enter thank you for closed business online through the Slips program that I'm going to show you in a minute, it will also start tracking that for you. One of the requests that we've received in BNI Connect over the past 18 months, 20 months has been, well, it's great that people are thanking me for business, but I can't track how much I've received for my business. So as you enter the thank you for closed business that you're thanking your referral sources for, it will also keep track of it for your received. Now, somebody also has just asked, what are CEUs? And CEUs are chapter education units, or continuing education units, and this is keeping track of the hours that you spend training. So reading books, listening to the podcasts, going to member success program, these webinars, and other sanctioned networking events. So that's what CEUs are. All of that stuff will be right here at your fingertips. On top of that, you can see up here that it's been cleaned up so that you can enter your status very quickly, and a nice big save button to be able to save that. You can also see that right here we put some quick links to the common things that you may be doing with your profile. Now this My Account button is still going to be here, how you access it now, but this will take you right to the place where you can change your password, where you can update your profile, where you can change your photo and logo, and where you can update your privacy settings. So one click to get to those common functions. And on top of that, we have the other things that I'm going to show you in just a minute, how we can enter the slips directly online. Now, the cool part about the new landing page is that one of the other pieces of feedback that we've received over the past 20 months or so is that people find some of the menus confusing, going to operations and chapter and reports and chapter and admin and chapter. Well, now what you'll see here is a number of your own menus depending on the level of access you have. So we have this module, which is the new landing page for members, but you also have your My Network page, which is the same page as you had before. You'll also have your chapter page. Now what this is every function that is available at a chapter level. So it takes all the things from operations, reports, admin, and puts them into one menu for them based on your chapter menu. And if you're a director consultant, here's the same thing at a regional level. If you happen to be on the call, and I know we have at least one national director on the call, Mr. John Meyer, he'll also have a country level menu. And then if you're a system admin, you'll have a headquarters level menu. Now the coolest thing about these menus is you have full control over how you want those menus organized and what you want in the menu. So for example, let's take this chapter level menu and I click this configure button. What this is going to do is pull up another page for us. And this is the configuration page for your menu. This is your personalized menu. So I can take here's all the functions on the left that are going to show up in that list. And here is all the functions that I have access to at the chapter level. So if there's a function here that I want in my menu, I just click it. And let's say that I'm on the membership committee. And one thing that I'm probably going to look at a lot is the absence report. If I click that, it brings it over into this list. Now let's say that's going to be the first thing that I want to look at every time I log into BNI Connect. I'm going to grab this and I'm going to move it up to the top of my list so that when I click on that menu, it's the first thing that I see. Now let's say that I figure out that I never really, let's say, email chapter visitors. I can take that out of the list by clicking on it and it now pops over to this side. Now once I save that, and now I'm going to go back, and we'll see that it refreshes the screen, and my chapter list is now updated to what I set it to. So you can see the absence report is right up here at the top, and if I click on the absence report, this brings you right to the menu where you can choose the dates and go into the absence report. If you're a VP, maybe you want the Enter Palms up at the top of your menu list. And you want to be able to view the palms, and you look at the Vice President report. Again, this is customizable to what you want to do with your menu. And again, the same holds true for the regional menus. If you're a director consultant, I know we have a lot of director consultants on the list. We can go in and configure that to the common functions that we would be using on a regional level. So if I switch over to the regional level here, you can see all the different functions that we can either add to our quick access list or that we can remove from our quick access list. So if you're a director consultant and you find that you're emailing your members through the system a lot, maybe we want to put that right up at the top of the list. Just drag it, drop it, save it. And once we close it and go back to our menu here, we'll see our screen refresh real quick and we can see email members is right up there at the top of the list. Pretty cool, huh? I'm very excited for this feature. It should save the number of clicks to get to the things that you want to do much, much faster. So the next thing that I wanted to show you guys is also the other half of this whole change, and that is the ability to enter our slips electronically. Now, I don't know how many vice presidents we have on the line, but one thing that you'll be very excited to know is that all of the slips that are entered electronically will be automatically entered into the Palms report. I'll say that again. All of the slips that the members of your chapter enter electronically will be automatically entered into the POMS report. So that's that many less slips that you have to count through in order to apply them to the POMS report. So here's how you enter slips online. And it's kind of the same thing that we do in the meetings on a weekly basis. So here's the first slip here, the enter thank you for closed business. So if I click on this, it'll bring up a thank you for closed business slip. So all I really need to do here is to select who I'm going to be giving this thank you for closed business to. And by default, it's going to pull up all of the people in your chapter. So I just pick the member from my chapter that I'm going to thank. You'll see that the name popped up in here, how much I'm going to thank him for. Let's say it's $250, whether it was new or repeat business, whether it was an inside, an outside, or a Tier 3 plus referral, and whatever comments. Once I click Save, I can either click Save and New, and immediately pull up another slip to enter. So for any of you guys that sit there in the meeting and you're saying to yourself, oh, I really wish I had QuickBooks in front of me, you could go back to your QuickBooks and just enter your thank you for closed business slips one after the other without having to print out a whole bunch of extra reports, and you can go ahead and do that. Similarly, we have referrals. And we have the referrals, and we can choose who we want to give the referral to. So let's say I have a referral for Glenn Zabolis in my chapter, and I have the referral that I want to give him. So the referral's name is Bob Jones. Whether if it's an inside or outside referral, obviously an inside referral is when you're referring yourself to the other person, and the outside referral is when you're referring anybody else besides yourself to that person. Whether you've given them your card and or told them you would call, you do have to choose at least one of those two options. What the address is, telephone number, email address, and any comments. Rate the temperature of the referral, 1 through 5, 1 being tepid, 5 being hot, and we can save it. Now, the cool thing about when you enter a referral is that the person that receives the referral gets a notification right away. So I submitted a referral to myself a few minutes ago from another user account, and let me show you what that looks like. Now, this may change a little bit because we're still in beta, so we have a couple of weeks before this goes live. So the formatting of this message may change, but what you can see here is that on today, Helen Andromelos, which is somebody in my chapter, sent me a referral. And here's the details. It gives me the name, it gives me what type it is, the address, the phone number, the email to follow up with them, what the status of the referral is, any comments that were entered, and what the temperature is. It also gives me Helen's name and email address and phone number so that I can follow up with her as well. So that information comes to me right away as soon as that referral is passed. Let me switch back over to this screen here. And Don asks a quick question here. It says, so we have to be on BNI Connect to get the referral. No, one thing that you'll notice is that came to my regular email. So that goes to whatever email is listed in your profile. So the next one is we can enter one-to-ones. Again, we can select somebody from the chapter. So let's say that I met with Janet Birtwell from my chapter, who initiated that particular meeting, where you met, what you talked about, the date that you met, and you can save it. And you can save and enter a new one right away. Now, only one person needs to enter the one-to-one. And Patty says, my apologies, are you getting my questions? Yes, I am getting all of your questions. There's about 35 questions that have showed up, so I'm just going to try to go through and enter this last thing, and I will get to all of your questions in just a second. So when you select the person, now only one person needs to enter the one-to-one. And if I try to enter another one-to-one, like I put in a one-to-one with Helen and myself, And I can type anything in for that, anything in for the topics of conversation. Now, when I choose the date, I entered that as Helen that we met today. And if I go to save this, it will let me know that there's already a one-to-one that we both have credit for. So there's no need to enter another one-to-one for that particular one-to-one event. Now, there's one thing that people are bringing up here, and that is the ability to do cross-chapter referrals. Now, this is something that you will need to talk to your director or your executive director about because not all regions track cross-chapter referrals. But if your region is one of the regions that does track cross-chapter referrals, and again, talk to your director or your executive director about this particular thing, you will see a button here that allows you to search for members of other chapters. So let's say I was going to do a thank you for closed business, and I'm thanking a referral source in another chapter. I would click Search Cross Chapter. I can type in the person's name or at least 2 characters of any one of those, and I click Search. And if I find the person that I'm looking for, again, I want to thank Linda Macedonio for business. I select her and click OK. And at this point, it's filling out the form the same way that we would before. Okay, so I can thank her for $3,000 worth of business, whether it was new or repeat business, whether it was inside or outside, and any comments. And the same is true for one-to-ones as well as for referrals. Again, that is a function that does need to be enabled by your region, so you do need to talk to your executive director or director consultant if you don't see that button, and they will talk to you about the policies in their particular region. So where this really comes to be a benefit for you as a member, now we already know that it's going to benefit our vice presidents because that's that many less slips that they have to enter. But for you as a member, it will start now keeping track of all this information for you so you can go back and look at the information and track it over time. Now, again, I've been a member for, as I said, coming up on 11 years, and I can't tell you how many stacks of yellow slips I have, but it's really difficult to track all of my referrals and who I gave them to unless I'm entering those into a spreadsheet. Well, when you enter them online, it'll do that all for you. So if I go to, let's say, my Thank You for Closed Business report, I can choose a date range, and I can take a look at all of the electronic Thank You for Closed Business slips that I've entered over the course of time. So if you've ever sat there and wondered, oh my goodness, I can't remember whether I thanked Angela for that $5,000 of business, I can go back and say, oh yes, as a matter of fact, I did thank Angela for that business, and be able to go through and look at all of this. Now, for data protection, privacy reasons, you are the only person that has access to this report. I repeat, you as a member are the only person that has access to this report. So even myself as a system administrator, I can't go in and look at your Thank You for Closed Business report. So this is just for you and your use only. And the same thing is true for my referrals. So again, if you ever have sat there and thumbed through a stack of yellow slips, makes it much easier now. You can go back, you can look through all the referrals, you can see who you gave the referral to, and follow through and say, yep, I did pass that referral after all. Ditto with your one-to-ones. If you've ever kept one of those matrices of all of the people in your chapter and who you've met with and when you met with them and scorecard that way, you can do that now by clicking on your My One-to-Ones and pull a report of all the people that you've met with, when you met with them, and what you talked about. And finally, CEUs. If we go through and look at our CEUs, you can see all of the different things, all the different courses that you've taken that you've gotten credit for the CEUs. Now, a lot of people have asked, okay, well, that's all great. I entered this online, but what do I do for my meeting now? Well, we're not changing anything at the meeting. You're still going to pass in slips, and you have a couple of choices on how you can do that. At the bottom here, we have our personal meeting activity. And if you click on the personal meeting activity, what it's going to do by default is give you your last meeting's worth of data. But again, you can change this to pull a report for anything you want. You have two different options here. You have the slip format, which is, again, just like the slips at your meeting. And you also have a table format, which you could use for your own use. So if I click on the slip format, this is something that you would use to print out and bring to your meeting. And this will print out all of your referral slips, and they are the same size and shape as the forms that you pass in the meeting. So you could actually cut out these pieces of paper, pass them into the fishbowl or whatever it is that you might pass around in your chapter, and be eligible for the door prize. So this is one way to do that. And then you'll see at the bottom that it also organizes all of the other information to announce at the meeting. So although you do not need to fill out another thank you for closed business slip, we do encourage you that you still announce all of this information. So it gives you all of the things that you can announce at the meeting. So the CEUs that you took, the thank you for closed business, and the one-to-ones that you had. Now visitors do need to be entered via a slip because we obviously can't enter them ahead of time. They do need to show up first. Now, you can also, if you don't print this out before the meeting, you can also fill out a slip at the meeting for the referral so that you can be eligible for the door prize. What we would highly recommend that you do is to make sure that your vice president knows in some way, shape, or form that you already entered that online. So put a big X right through the middle of it, or in a nice bold format and press down really hard, already entered on BNI Connect, so that your vice president knows and doesn't need to count that one when they're doing the POMS report. Now, if you want it just for your own benefit, again, there's the table format that you can print out, or you can export this report as well. Again, it's the same information without the referral slips in the big format. You can print this out, or you can export this to Excel if you'd like to start keeping a listing outside of the system of all of the things that you're tracking. So again, these are the two new things that are coming up in the next month. Again, October 29th is our anticipated release date, and I'm going to start going through going to go back and start reading the questions. John, I know as National Director for the United States, we have a lot of members on here from the United States. I'm going to open your microphone if there's anything that you'd like to add to this while I start organizing the questions to go through. So, John, are you there?
I am here.
Excellent. Is there anything that you'd like to tell all the members or to add?
First off, I'd like to thank everybody for participating. I know that this is a definite change in culture. It's a change in how we have done business in the past. Although I think this is an exciting change. Change brings fear to some people, so I applaud everybody for being on this and taking advantage of some pre-training, if you will. I think the biggest thing is to look at the benefits of this. Number one is nothing changes, as Jeremy said, during the referral portion or the I have portion. It's either you writing out the actual referral slip or you printing out your activity and presenting it at the chapter just like you normally would. I was really happy to hear about the thank you for closed business. The member is the only person that can see their personal thank you for closed business. While Jeremy was going through that, and I know that this is an issue for some professions in particular, if you're filling out a referral and you don't want to put the information of the person down, I believe you could just fill in like you normally would, call me, or private. Yep, absolutely. Either way, that way the person knows
you have a referral, they can touch base with you to figure out what that person's name is and how to contact them, so it's not printed out for others to see. So I'm more than happy to answer questions, Jeremy, if you want to toss them my way as well. But I think this is just a great, exciting change for BNI, and as long as everybody is patient through the change, I think we'll all come out on the other side a lot better.
Excellent. So I'm going to start. We have, I think, about 40 or 50 questions here, so I'm going to start going through the questions now. So let's see what we have here. We have Mark asks, thank you for closed business given, not received. Again, Mark, did I explain that one well enough in the beginning? When you enter a thank you for closed business slip online through the new system, so when I enter a thank you for closed business, what's going to happen is it will put that thank you for closed business against the person that you're thanking, but it will also start to tally up a thank you for closed business received for you. Now, the only way that you can tally up your thank you for closed business received is by entering the slip online. So, and again, nobody has access to see this but you. Your vice president, your other chapter members, nobody else can see that information but you. Gary says, will the new landing page be mobilized? The current one is not, and it's difficult to use on a mobile phone. Right now, BNI Connect is built and tested on a full computer platform, and that's mostly to take advantage of all of the fancy buttons and other things that you see here. We have not been developing specifically for a mobile platform, although that is coming. It's being discussed right now. Plans are being made for either making it a mobile-friendly or making an app for it. Again, that hasn't been 100% completely decided. It's in the discussion phases now, but hopefully once they make that decision, we'll start to see that in the near future. I can tell you, just as a complete aside, this is completely unsupported, but I did go through all of these screens on both of my own personal mobile devices. I have a Zoom tablet, which is the Android operating system, as well as a Motorola Droid phone, and I was able to enter all of these slips and look at all of these pages myself using those devices. The only thing that didn't work so well was the customization of menus. So if that's promising, at the least, again, that is unsupported, just a bonus. How many CEUs do we get for this webinar? Talk to your director consultant or your executive director about how they track CEUs in your particular region. Generally speaking, a 1-hour training session would be 1 CEU credit. But again, please talk to your director consultant or your executive director about that particular tracking in your region. Let's see, Patty says, what happens when the slips are then turned in and the VP goes to enter them? How will they know they have already been entered? Again, if you're using this personal meeting activity report and you print out these slips, that one should be pretty obvious to the vice presidents that this one has already been entered, and they can just put that one aside. If you are filling out a form at the meeting, then please, I would say put a big X right across the top of it, maybe over the whole sheet, or in the comment section, write entered online in nice big bold fonts so they can take that one out of the pile when they are entering the POMS report. Let's see. The next question is this the new system or the present system? Again, this is a new release that's coming out at the end of the month, so October 29th. On October 29th, depending what time zone you're in, for those of us that are here in the East Coast, usually the hours of 5 o'clock to noon is when they perform the update, and we wouldn't be able to access the system during that time, but as soon as it's live, then we will see this. Again, October 29th right now is the anticipated release date for this. So the VP will now have to cross-check the slips that they get to the POMS report. Let me show you real quick what happens to the POMS report. So if I go to the chapter and I go to enter the POMS report, assuming that I'm the vice president for my chapter, and I choose, let's say, last week's meeting, Oh, I already entered that one, excuse me. Let me choose next week's meeting. What we'll see is all of these slips that I just entered right now have already been entered into the POMS report. So I passed Helen passed a referral to me, so she now has a referral given outside. And if I find myself in the list here, I will have a referral given inside already entered into my POMS report. So basically this is giving the vice president a jump start on the POMS report for all of the slips that have already been entered. Let's see. Ann says, can we enter slips in the other version? Again, right now, we're still entering slips manually, writing them out on paper. After this release, you will still be able to write them on paper if you choose to and not take advantage of this. Or, again, if you'd like some of these extra features, like being able to track your own slips and things like that, then you will need to enter them online. Felix asks, are comments viewable by all? And the answer to that is no. So the comments are not viewable by anybody but you, and when your referral receives that email notification about the referral that they received. What about dollars for people that are no longer in the meeting? This one comes from Bonnie. And Bonnie, the people that aren't in the list, that are no longer part of the chapter or are no longer a part of, if you're doing the cross chapter, if they're no longer part of BNI, you will have to hand that thank you for closed business slip in manually. There's a technical reason behind that I can go into, but then I probably wouldn't get through the rest of these questions. But if you'd like more information on that, let me know, and I will tell you more about that. But you do need to enter those slips for thank you for closed business for past members, or if you're thanking BNI itself, or visitors. Those ones right now do need to be entered manually at your chapter meeting. Let's see. What if you do not have the phone number? If you don't have the phone number, you will probably have to make one up. But I'd highly recommend that in order for it to be a complete referral and to make it easy for the person receiving the referral to follow up with that person, to try to do your best to make sure that information is filled out. Chris asks, how are self-entries versus post-meeting VP entries going to be controlled to avoid duplicate entries? Again, it will be a new process for the VPs. It will take a little bit of getting used to, but between the personal activity reports, the different slips that are entered, and the fact that it's already half filled out, that should, again, smooth itself out. Scott says, what does search cross-chapter mean? That came pretty early in the presentation. I think I covered that. Again, if your region allows cross-chapter referrals and or cross-chapter thank you for closed business, then it will allow you to search for other members in your region. Please note that you cannot, because it's not universal worldwide, whether that's recorded, you will only be able to search across your region. So for me, that means I could search across Rhode Island and southeastern Mass, but I could not necessarily search to California or Ohio or to the UK. Can referrals be done out of chapter? Again, I think that's the same question. Gary asks, have the shadow box entry screens, which that's a modal pop-up, I believe, been tested on tablets, and these often struggle with overlay. Again, this particular site, this version of the site, is not specifically designed for tablets and mobile devices. Again, hopefully that's something that is coming in the near future. I thought outside referrals were to a member in another chapter. Again, the official term right now, inside versus outside. Inside is a referral of yourself, or a tier 1 referral. An outside referral is a referral of anybody else, or a tier 2 referral, somebody other than yourself. And Phil asks, will the referral send an email to the referral recipient? Yes, the email is actually only sent to the person receiving the referral. And again, it goes to your regular email address, not to the one in BNI Connect. So it's whatever one is associated with your profile, that is the email that will receive that email. Tony asks, do we still give a pink slip to the VP at the meeting? Again, I think we covered that a couple of times. You can either print out the slips to bring to the meeting, or you can mark up another slip, but just be sure to annotate it in a way that there is absolutely no confusion with your vice president. Let's see. Justin says, this came up today and was a bit of a concern. Is the contact info on the referral captured and utilized by BNI at all? They were worried about compliance issues of sharing this information electronically, and absolutely not. That information is accessible to you and you alone. So your recipient receives the information about the referral, but for example, the vice president, again, me as a system administrator, nobody else can access that information. Of course, if they have your password to log in, then they could see it, but other than that, it is not utilized for marketing purposes, for anything else at all. Don says, great. Thank you, Don. BG says we could use an app for this, smiley face, and I agree. I would love to see an app, and I'm very excited for that next phase of this program. And William Ray Richards says, what if a one-to-one is with someone from outside my chapter? Again, that is, if your region does track that information, that will be available as a button. Scott says, what happens if I enter a one-to-one that I do with a member, and then a day later that member enters that one-to-one? And again, as long as the one-to-ones, if they're entered with the same date, the system will warn you that a one-to-one has already been entered and tracked for that particular date. It does give you the ability to override it, so if you do legitimately meet with somebody twice on the same day, then you can enter another slip for it, but by default, I would say the next time you go to a one-to-one, just make sure that you tell the person, hey, I'll enter the slip for this one. I think we've covered the mobile versions. How far can you go back date-wise? Again, we'll be able to go back indefinitely as soon as we start entering the data into the system. So right now, there's no way for us to go back to the information that was entered already for the past year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years of your membership. But starting from October 29th and forward, you will be able to start seeing that information and, as I said, going back indefinitely from that point. I think we covered the double entry. Felix says, does the initiator of the one-to-one get more credit than the other person? Nope, it is equal credit. It is just for, again, tracking purposes. So you can see that in your report. So David says, so the recipient has to have gone into BNI Connect, completed his profile, and selected. No. In order to get the emails, all you need to do is have an email address in the system. So for example, if I go to my account and I go to the email address, the contact information, as long as whatever email address is here on my contact information, which is usually entered at the time that an application is submitted for you, as it will go to whatever email address this is, your real live email address as it is in the system. So even if you've never logged into BNI Connect before, ever, as long as an email address was entered for you at the time of your application, whoever is sending you the referral, you will get that notification for that particular referral. So hope that answers your question there, Dave. Let's see. Don asks, is there already a referral from us that has been entered? We absent-mindedly enter it again. Will it count twice, or will it get the error message? So for referrals, again, hopefully if you're tracking your referrals via the My Referrals report, hopefully that situation won't happen in the future, and you may want to get in the habit of checking that. But similar to now, if you pass in a referral and then 2 months later you forget and you pass it in again, that same situation applies electronically as it does in real life. And John, I still do have your mic open. If there's anything that you wanted to add at any time, feel free to jump right in.
I will do that.
All right, so former members, again, former and past members, you do need to enter those via a slip at the chapter meeting. Bonnie says, lots of my businesses repeat from members who are no longer in the chapter or in BNI. How to track? Again, you have to put the thank you for closed business slip in manually at the meeting for those. That is something that we will be addressing in a future release, but right now, a physical slip does need to be entered. John, it looks like we have a question directly for you. Ronald says, does John Myers support cross-chapter referrals? Do you want to say anything about that at this time?
Sure, I do. I know that there is some directors that have some challenges with this. I have the philosophy of keeping BNI business in BNI, and one question, remind me, Jeremy, that I do have for you after we go through this is outside region. So, but if a member has a referral for a plumber and there's not a plumber in their chapter, the first thing that I'm going to do as the director is encourage them to look at our chapter website and find a plumber in a local BNI chapter. That is part of what I believe is the giver's gain mentality. You help your chapter first, obviously. If you can't pass a referral or do business within your chapter, then by all means I believe people should get credit for passing referrals within BNI. One of the biggest challenges that we've had in the past and why a lot of regions have not allowed the cross-chapter referral is that there was really no accountability factor. You could say you passed a referral to another member, got credit for that, yet nothing would ever happen. Now there's an accountability factor within BNI Connect. I think that's the one issue that some directors had, but me personally, I have always endorsed it, embraced it, and encouraged it within my regions.
Excellent. Hopefully that answers your question.
Jeremy, if I can?
Yes, please.
The question I had for you is, because I don't know, is there plans to allow cross-regional referrals or no? Somewhere down the future?
Somewhere in the future.
Okay.
So, and that goes back to, I think, some regions allowing it and not allowing it. But again, we'll be having that conversation at some point in the future.
And I think as we see more members get involved with BNI Connect and connecting through Connect, where we truly do become a global network, I think we'll start to see more of that. And we've already seen some, but I think we may be dealing with that more and more as people start to use Connect.
Absolutely. I'm personally so looking forward to all of the possibilities that this opens up. All right, there's still probably about 30 or more questions, so I'm going to continue to try to go through these questions. If I don't read your question, please let me know. I have been skipping over some questions that are repeats of previous questions. So I know that there was a suggestion for GoToMeeting that we allow everybody to see questions so that we don't double enter them, but you could probably send that to suggestions@gotomeeting.com. All right, so let's see. Tony says, if we're not passing slips and making statements of passing stuff at the meeting, we're losing the most important and exciting part of the meeting. And Tony, we absolutely will be passing referrals and talking about it at the meeting. That part of the meeting goes on just the same way it did before. So we absolutely are encouraging to still pass the referrals verbally at the meeting. Lee says, this is way too cool. Great stuff. Lee Parker from Pensacola Beach, and thank you. We're pretty excited too. Justin says, if I'm thanking someone for closed business based off of a referral they gave me electronically, does it close that referral? Right now, we're not tracking the status of referrals, whether they're open, whether they're closed, whether they're no sale. That is something that hopefully is being planned for a future release, but not in this very first version. Douglas says, will educational coordinators be able to have access to the new style page to train our chapters before October 29th. Right now, there will be, I don't think there's going to be access to the system beforehand. We do have a number of documentation modules drawn up already, and of course you can refer people back to these recorded webinars. So if you need some more or specific information, Douglas, get in touch with me, support@bniconnect.com, and I'll help you out as much as I possibly can. Let's see. Tommy says, I am loving this, and this is great. And Felix asks, does the mothership update CEUs for attending classes such as MSP? Right now, the mothership does not update the CEUs automatically. So your profile gets updated based on what courses you've registered for and attended through BNI Connect, but it does not pass through to CEUs quite yet. Let's see. Does each member have a choice to either enter online or pass a slip at the meeting? And yes, again, I'm sure there will be some people that utilize the system right away and some people that don't. I can tell you that there's a very large region of the United States that is using this on another platform right now, that about 80% of all activity is done online. So that's what we have to look forward to. Scott says it would be great to have the ability to rate a referral a month later after we've received it. And again, that is a functionality that we are talking about and hopefully we'll be seeing in the near future. Felix says, so next time the mothership prints out slips, he likes that mothership term. Please put a checkbox on each slip for already entered online. Felix, that is probably the best suggestion I've heard so far, to have the mothership add to the slip template already entered online. I think that is a brilliant suggestion. I'm sure John has already written that one down. Let's see. I think I know the reports won't go back before the 29th because the data is not entered there. How much of a cost savings will these changes represent to BNI? That isn't even factored in. I do still see a lot of paper being passed at the meeting, both from all the slips that aren't able to be entered online and for people putting in the slips for the door prizes. Again, that really wasn't the concern doing this. The reason that we're doing this, and again, I'm a member, the reason that I absolutely 100% love this is these reports right here. The My Thank You for Closed Business, the My Referrals, the My One-to-Ones, and the My CEUs so that I can track my activity. The cost of the paper is minuscule compared to the amount of benefit I'm going to get from those 4 reports. Let's see. How do you, again, thank a previous member by passing a slip at the meeting? So is the meeting date time the cutoff as to which POMS report a referral goes to? So that's done by the actual slip entry date. So when I enter a referral, it is automatically time-stamped. So when the referrals are entered will determine which POMS reports they are applied to. So good question, George. Let's see. I'm a new member. Can we enter the slips online currently? October 29th. That's when we'll be able to do this. So Joe says, if I enter something Monday, let's say through a tablet or something, but I don't have access to a printer, can I print it out later? Absolutely. Again, all of this information will be stored online, so you probably want to print that personal meeting activity report right before you go to the meeting after you've already done all of your entries. Let's see. James from Oklahoma loves this! Exclamation point, 4 times. I am right there with you, James. Noel says, I love what you guys are doing. I'm a newly inducted member, and this is one suggestion I had to help improve BNI. It increases efficiency and cuts down the amount of time the VP has to spend tabulating the slips. Job well done. Can't wait for this to start. Thank you very much. What about those that don't use a computer? Again, just fill out the slips. Nothing will have changed for that. They just fill out the slips at the meeting like they always do. Let's see. If John and Mary conducted dual session one-to-one, can John log in both one-to-one sessions separately? Yes. So it does allow you to override if you actually do a second one-to-one on the same day. David says, what is the benefit to the member? It seems like more work, and I don't see how it benefits the individual member. I can see how it makes less work for the VP, but it can all lead to a lot of confusion if the members don't use it correctly. Again, there will be some adjustment to this, but to me, the biggest benefit to the member is those 4 reports right there. Again, I can't tell you how many hours I've spent over the years devising spreadsheets and all sorts of tracking utilities to figure out, who I passed referrals to and whether they followed up on them, and did I pass that referral already? And make sure I have all that information. Now all of that stuff is at one click away. So again, you don't remember when the last time you did a one-to-one with a certain person, you can pull up the report real quick, go back and take a look at that. To me, those 4 reports are the biggest benefit to every single member of BNI.
Hey, Jeremy.
Yes.
One of the other benefits that I think people don't realize until this starts to become active is the immediacy of the referral. A lot of times members will find a referral on a Tuesday, their chapter meets on a Wednesday, that's when they'll pass it. This makes the referral capability happen right away, so people can start to follow up on the referrals, and it speeds up the referral process, if you will, of getting the information to the member wherever they are, which I think is just a huge benefit. People get their email on their phone, at their computer, on whatever device they're using. So it makes the immediacy of receiving the referral a lot quicker than what it has in the past as well.
Yep, absolutely. So you can do all these things the minute you think of them. All right, so we're getting up towards the top of the hour. Let me see if I'm just scanning through the bottom. Dan says, it seems like this will greatly benefit members who are more active and more inclined toward efficiency and referral immediacy. So excellent insight. Okay, and now the final question is, will this webinar be available for replay? Yes, it will be. So before we close out, there's a couple of things that I will show you. If you could, if you would like to register for another one of these webinars, whether it's this webinar or any other webinars that we have, from BNI Connect, you can always click on the question mark button. So if I log in here and then click on the question mark button, it will bring you to support.bniconnect.com. So right here, click on the question mark, support.bniconnect.com, and here are the all of the list of upcoming webinars. They're also on your regional calendars. If you'd like to register for another one of these, click on the link and you'll see here there's also a recording to the last version of this webinar that we did a couple of days ago. In a couple of days, I will get this latest recording up as well. And you can see we have a number of other webinars that are available. On this page also is a ton of self-help material. So if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a bunch of trainings and walkthroughs and guides and all things that you have access to in the system, and we'll tell you how to do it. For example, if you'd like to know how to email your chapter, here's the instructions on how to email your chapter. So take a look there, and if you could also go to facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. We do webinar announcements, tips and tricks, and all sorts of things. Give us a like up here on this site, please. Facebook.com/BNI Connect Global, and keep an eye out there. We do the webinar announcements there as well. And if you'd like more information on these webinars, you can also do a search in the groups and become part of our webinars group. And we do announcements and reminders and look for feedback about the webinars from there as well. So again, we're at the top of the hour, and I would like to thank everybody for being here today. We are very much looking forward to this functionality. If you have any additional questions, again, you can go back and review this webinar. You can send an email to support@bniconnect.com. Talk to your director consultant, talk to your executive director. We're all here to help you. Again, thank you, John, for being here today and helping me out with some of the questions. And I look forward to talking to everybody soon. So happy connecting, everyone. Goodbye.